Ji Qingxian crossed her arms and slowly walked toward Gu Chang'e. Young master, you've finally come. He looked at her in confusion, his mind full of questions. Su Qing'e calmly observed the two, and Ji Qingxian continued, Qing'e has been bullied terribly. Gu Chang'e turned sharply toward Su Qing'e with a confused expression, and she just smiled, saying nothing. Gu Chang'e looked up at Su Qing'e's stats, 7205. She saw this and immediately became anxious, her face full of doubt. He smiled faintly, understanding in his heart, I see now. This is Qing'e's mission. It's an identity swap play, how interesting. Gu Chang'e immediately stepped back from Su Qing'e and said, sorry, I mistook you for someone else. Su Qing'e was stunned by his attitude, and Ji Qingxuan's expression darkened as she whispered, young master. Gu Chang'e excitedly embraced Ji Qingxian and frowned, asking, Qing'e, what happened? How did you get so injured? The system detected Ji Qingxuan's current state, minor injury detected. She replied tiredly, young master, I just went for a stroll in the Zhuke ancient kingdom. Ji Qingxian continued, I was harassed several times by a lecher, and later he summoned a great saint to attack me. Gu Chang'e looked at Elder Xian and Wang Xiao, both of whom were stunned and exclaimed loudly, this. Gu Chang'e's expression grew serious, and he exclaimed in surprise, I can't believe someone dared to attack one of my servants. Ji Qingxian weakly said, young master, sorry to worry you. I'm fine. Gu Chang'e directly picked up Ji Qingxian and said, what happened? Your internal organs are injured. Don't worry, I'm here to protect you. She immediately turned red and felt shy as he suddenly embraced her. Ji Qingxian widened her eyes, gazing up at Gu Chang'e, thinking, so strong, so gentle, my sister is truly blessed. Gu Chang'e knelt down, placed Ji Qingxian on the ground, and let her lean against the bridge rail. Rest here quietly, I'll handle them. Su Qing'e's other persona surfaced, sneering, your sister isn't simple. I guess she's already planned to stay close to you, young Master Gu. Su Qing'e blankly stared at the two, cursing inwardly, shut up. Gu Chang'e gently closed his eyes and asked calmly, speak, how do you want to die? Su Qing'e looked at Wang Xiao and Xian Lao, both were stunned. Xian Lao repeated his words in his heart, speak, how do you want to die? Wang Xiao anxiously explained, Elonga, it's just a misunderstanding. As you can see, this girl looks like my junior sister, I really didn't mean it, please be magnanimous. Gu Chang'e opened his eyes and glanced at him, another fool, or do you want me to? Gu Chang'e instantly appeared behind Wang Xiao and Xian Lao, and said in a low voice, do it yourself. Their eyes widened in shock, thinking, so fast. Wang Xiao was drenched in cold sweat, gritting his teeth, thinking to himself, I'm this old, and it's the first time I've been threatened and humiliated like this. Does he think I'm a sick cat just because the tiger doesn't show its teeth? Wang Xiao quickly knelt down with a thud. Wang Xiao pressed his hands against his chest, looked up at Gu Chang'e, and begged, Longa, please. Spare my life, I won't dare again. I'm willing to apologize and compensate your maid, just let me go. Gu Chang'e looked at Ji Qingxian and asked, Qing'e, how do you want to deal with him? Wang Xiao was dripping with cold sweat, nervously looking at her, and Xian Lao also nervously looked at Ji Qingxian, Miss. Ji Qingxian forced a smile and replied, Qing'e listens to the young master's arrangement. The system showed Ji Qingxuan's value as 3,000, and she thought to herself, forget what I just thought, this man is too terrifying, I must not let him know I'm an imposter. Gu Chang'e looked at Wang Xiao with a terrifyingly serious expression, slowly saying, all right, since that's the case, I'll just kill him. Wang Xiao quickly pointed at Xian Lao, panic-stricken, shouting, no, it wasn't me, Longa, it was Xian Lao who harmed your maid. I didn't even make a move yet. Gu Chang'e glanced at Xian Lao, then said, oh. Xian Lao, terrified, looked at him and said to Wang Xiao, young master, you. Xian Lao cupped his hands respectfully, saying, Longa, this matter is my fault. I'm willing to cripple my arms to atone for this to you and your maid. Gu Chang'e looked down at his arms and said calmly, the arms of a great saint, I see. Gu Chang'e sharply lifted his gaze and continued, still not enough. Then, Gu Chang'e released a fiery red power and struck Xian Lao, sending him flying. Chu Hao saw Xian Lao being knocked into him, frowned, and then stepped aside. He thought to himself, this already affects the origin. Gu Chang'e is definitely not the kind person the emperor described. Xian Lao lay heavily on the ground, coughing a few times, weakly saying, this should give my young master some face. Ji Qingxuan's eyes widened, staring at Xian Lao in shock, thinking to herself, even a great saint guardian. Su Qing'e remained silent, unable to express her feelings. Su Qing'e's other personality looked at Gu Chang'e and Wang Xiao with excitement, saying, to be honest, I really like his temperament, he's more like a practitioner of demonic arts. Su Qing'e glanced at him, thinking, the young master has never been easy to talk to, outsiders can't tell. Su Qing'e suppressed her gaze and remained silent. Wang Xiao slowly turned his head and looked at Xian Lao, his face filled with fear. Xian Lao actually. Gu Chang'e looked at him with reddened eyes, you have a good guardian, it's a pity. Hearing this, Wang Xiao's eyes widened, filled with even more terror. He stared at Chu Hao, desperately hoping for his help. Wang Xiao thought, right, there's also the eldest senior brother. He will definitely save me. Wang Xiao suddenly stood up, ran toward Chu Hao, shouting loudly as he ran, eldest senior brother, save me. I don't want to die. Wang Xiao hid behind Chu Hao, gripping his sleeve tightly, forcing a smile, eldest senior brother, save me. The Wang family will definitely. At the same time, he thought to himself, that person seems more like the child of destiny than others from the human race. The system displayed Suo Hao's fortune index as a mysterious number. Suo Hao frowned, his expression serious as he stared at Gu Chang'e, feeling displeased but unable to retort. Some people started gathering after noticing the commotion, and one asked, quick, look, isn't that the third prince and the young master Chang'e? Why are they drawing swords and drawing bows? Someone else agreed, yeah. What exactly happened? Suo Hao respectfully cupped his hands and said, young master Chang'e has misunderstood. I don't want to be your enemy. But as your senior, I cannot stand by idly. Junior brother Wang Zhao's guardian has already paid the price, how about? Gu Chang'e's face turned cold, and he directly interrupted his words, what are you talking about? I was planning to spare him, but now I've changed my mind. I don't care what forces you have behind you, I will ask you one question. Gu Chang'e's sharp eyes glinted as he asked, today, will you, the third prince, insist on protecting him? Wang Zhao's expression changed drastically, and he looked at Suo Hao in fear, stammering, senior brother, you can't just ignore me. The Wang family will never let you suffer. Suo Hao glanced at him and silently thought, with my realm, Gu Chang'e himself is not frightening. Although the Chongqing Gu family behind him is powerful, they wouldn't degrade themselves for such a small matter. Suo Hao clenched his fist slightly and continued thinking, although the Wang family cannot be compared to the Gu family, if Wang Xiao gets into trouble here, the ancient Zhuge kingdom might also get involved. Suo Hao cupped his hands again and said, young master Chang'e, this is just a misunderstanding. Why be so aggressive? Besides, junior brother is willing to compensate that young lady, and in my opinion, Gu Chang'e's palm began to emanate power, and he coldly said, protecting a bully of the weak, in my view. Suo Hao frowned, his expression serious. Gu Chang'e quickly raised his hand, and several beams of light slashed toward Suo Hao. At the same time, he shouted, you should fight back. Suo Hao immediately raised his hand, forming a water ring to block the attack. A faint mist appeared on Suo Hao's hand. He frowned and sternly asked, Gu Chang'e, as a high-ranking disciple of the true immortal academy, can you be so reckless, oppressing others without regard for their lives? Without The Chongqing family, how would you have the power and position you do now? And I, as a person from a small country in the lower realm, have walked step by step to this point. Do you think you can understand? Gu Chang'e thought to himself, no wonder he's not afraid of my pressure, it turns out this kid's realm is above mine. He chuckled lightly and said, the third prince is good at quibbling. Where the magical forces collided, smoke filled the air. Gu Chang'e spread his arms and spoke calmly, now, the spirits of absolute sound are running rampant, the people of the ancient Zhuge kingdom are suffering, the true Immortal Academy has come from afar to provide aid, and yet you are willing to turn against me for a person who bullied my maid. It seems this junior brother has helped you greatly on your path to the Tao, at least. Suo Hao's heart tightened upon hearing this, and his expression grew serious as he lowered his head. Wang Xiao looked around in shock. Gu Chang'e concluded, it seems even more important than the common people who are in dire straits. More and more spectators gathered, and upon hearing this, everyone was shocked and began discussing, what exactly did the third prince's junior brother do? That person harassed and beat up young Master Chang'e's maid, but why would the third prince? Who knows? Suo Hao shouted, Gu Chang'e, you are so cruel and ruthless, do you still consider yourself a righteous gentleman? What good is saying these things for you? Gu Chang'e closed his eyes and lightly smiled, righteous gentleman, is merely a compliment from my friends. I have never mentioned it myself. Alright, since the third prince is so confused about right and wrong. He opened his eyes, looked at Suo Hao, and still smiled as he continued, then let the Zhuge kingdom's ruler come and judge this matter. Suo Hao, upon hearing the words, king, instantly became furious, releasing all of his power. Blue energy spread through his body, and he roared, what do you want to do? The space gradually became covered by a transparent blue light ring, and countless bolts of lightning shot toward Gu Chang'e. Suo Hao shouted again in anger, Gu Chang'e, you dare. But Gu Chang'e remained calm, standing still. A brilliant blue light beam shot toward the sky, with layers of transparent light rings covering the vast space. Someone shouted loudly, a quasi-supreme. Someone else exclaimed, oh my god, the third prince is actually a quasi-supreme. Incredible, when he left the imperial city, Another person marveled, the third prince is indeed a monster. This kind of power cannot be described with genius, it's simply unbelievable. Wang Xiao, seeing such terrifying power, turned pale and almost cried, exclaiming, I didn't expect senior brother to be a quasi-supreme. Great, I'm saved. Su Qingjia looked at Suo Hao's power, nervously thinking to herself, before, I had never heard of anyone reaching the supreme level at such a young age. No wonder senior brother is so highly valued by the supreme cave heaven. Suo Hao's expression became solemn, and he said in a deep voice, Gu Chang'e, protecting junior brother is my personal act, unrelated to the ancient Zhuge kingdom. If you want to move against my father, then. Gu Chang'e raised his hand and smiled, saying, a quasi-supreme, I see. Is this your final trump card? Gu Chang'e thought to himself, interesting, then he snapped his fingers. The crowd began to look up at the sky, and they said in fear, that is. The people floating in the air also nervously looked up, one of them spoke, this is, the realm of absolute sound that Master Chang'e once used. Someone recognized it and shouted loudly, the Supreme Seal. Sure enough, at that moment, the Supreme Seal, Gu Chang'e's magic treasure, appeared clearly in the sky, enormous, causing huge waves on the water's surface. Chu Hao's eyes were full of shock, he clenched his teeth and thought to himself, Supreme Artifact, is this the gap in power? Damn it! Damn it! The Supreme Seal overwhelmed Chu Hao's power at that moment, and Gu Chang'e sneered, what? Not going to make a move? At this moment, the two of them arrived with the country lord, and the purple-haired man urged, hurry up. The country lord asked, what's going on here? Chu Hao shouted loudly, father. Gu Chang'e turned to the three of them, frowned, and said, nonsense. I asked you to bring the country lord, who told you to be disrespectful? Let go of him. The country lord respectfully cupped his hands to Gu Changa and asked, Master Changa, what is this? He closed his eyes, smiled, and answered, just inviting the Zhuke country lord to come and watch the fun, no need to worry. Wang Zhao was sweating profusely, his face blank as he said, Master brother, if something happens to me, our family will never let Zhuke ancient country go. You know my uncle, he. Chu Hao clenched his fists, veins bulging, hesitating, he said, Junior brother, I have no way out. Wang Zhao reached out to grab Chu Hao, his face pale as he shouted, Master brother, you can't give up on me. Chu Hao hurriedly leaped toward the country lord. Chu Hao stood before the country lord but occasionally glanced at Gu Changa. He spoke, this matter has nothing to do with Zhuke country. The country lord joyfully called, Hao. Gu Changa glanced at Chu Hao and smiled, a person who knows when to bend is a wise man, the third prince is indeed clever. Then, Gu Changa stared at Wang Zhao and thought, no rush, let me take some of your luck first, then it's not too late to move against you. Now, I will enjoy the appetizer. The system displayed Wang Zhao's luck value as 250, and he stood in shock, stammering, why? Why did it become like this? The sky became calm again, blue and peaceful. The sunset slowly sank, sketching a beautiful evening scene. In the imperial city of Zhuke ancient country, the country lord sighed, I once thought he had a gentle temperament, but it turns out it was all a facade. However, Hao, you acted too impulsively today. If you have offended Gu Changa, it will be difficult to protect Wang Zhao. Chu Hao looked at the country lord and replied in a deep voice, Father, you are right, I didn't think this through. Su Chinga stood aside, watching the two talk. The country lord suddenly became overjoyed, even teary-eyed, saying, Fortunately, today Hao, you have broken through to semi-supreme. One day, Zhuke ancient country will prosper because of you, and then, even Gu Changa, we won't have to fear. Su Chinga looked at the two of them, thinking to herself, you don't know how terrifying the young master is. Su Chinga pretended to wipe away her tears and said with self-blame, Master brother, it's all my fault. If I hadn't gone out in the middle of the night, Wang Zhao senior brother wouldn't have. Chu Hao immediately turned to look at her, saying, Junior sister, it's not your fault. Wang Zhao's bad nature is hard to change. And Gu Changa is too powerful, no one can do anything. But that woman's appearance is so similar to yours, do you know why? Su Chinga stared blankly at Chu Hao and softly replied, I don't know, but my mother once descended to the lower realms, maybe. It's because of that strange feeling that I chose to leave the palace. Chu Hao stroked his chin, pondering, I see. Outside the palace, a subordinate hurried in and knelt respectfully to report to the country lord, outside the hall, Miss Wan requests to see the third prince. Su Chinga's mind was filled with questions, and she turned to look. Chu Hao was surprised, Wanner. The country lord patted his shoulder and smiled, go, catch up with her. Tang Wan stood outside the palace waiting, thinking to herself, brother Chu Hao. Tang Wan smiled as she looked into the grand hall. The system prompted, the lucky child Chu Hao has gained his wish, and his luck has greatly increased. Gu Changa looked up seriously but still maintained a smile. He thought to himself, this is really the first time I've met someone whose fortune increases after I hit them. Damn, but this is even more interesting. The crowd started to look up at the sky, and they said in terror, that's. Those hovering in the air also nervously looked up. One of them spoke, this is the place where young Master Changa once used the absolute silence. Someone recognized it and shouted loudly, the Supreme Seal. Sure enough, at that moment, the Supreme Seal, Gu Changa's magic treasure, was clearly displayed in the sky, enormous, causing the water's surface to churn violently. Chu Hao's gaze was shocked. He clenched his teeth and thought to himself, a supreme artifact, is this the difference in strength? Damn! Damn! The Supreme Seal crushed Chu Hao's current power. Gu Changa sneered, what? Not going to make a move? Chu Hao was speechless.